I wish all the students are safe enough and they are preparing well for their semesters. And for the upcoming semester, this subject is newly incorporated in R19 regulation, which is named as DC machines and transformers. Formerly, this subject is seen as two parts, EM1 and EM2. In elaboratively, we can say that electrical machines 1 and electrical machines 2. So these two former subjects, now it has been reframed and it has been seen as DC machines and transformers. So before going to the content of the subject, let me introduce what this subject deals of. So this is a basic subject what we require to learn about electrical engineering scenario. So wherever we are going to use electrical energy, so we need two things. One object is to entertain the energy, that means which is meant to receive the energy, and another part of thing is which have to be used. So in any concept we'll see two conditions. One should be a giver, another one should be a receiver, just like a teacher and a student. So always students gains the energy from the teacher, as the teacher is the one who gives the energy. So here, as in that same way, always the electrical energy is seen in two forms. One is to give the energy, another one to receive that energy. So in that perspective, so here the machines has been incorporated. There are several machines which works for various forms of energy, but being an electrical engineer, we learn about or we deal with the machines which are working based on electrical energy. So here the main concept behind this particular subject was to learn the emphasis of electrical energy. So electrical energy is a basic term which you have to learn regarding DC machines and transformers. So coming to the part of DC machines, so machines are always meant or always designed to decrease the human effort. So this human effort is reduced with help of some designed based machines. So earlierly machine is defined as a device which runs on mechanical which has movement. So here the movement of the machines can be done either in terms of earlier prospection, which is named as energy using or energy giving. So here, while going to the brief emphasis of that subject, let me have a glance look of this. So why we are learning this DCMT? So DCMT is nothing but DC machines and transformers. Why? So the basic theme behind this subject is being an electrical engineer. It's our primary motto to know what is a machine, on what basis a machine will learn, and why we are using. So from the initial part of your mobile and the final part of industries, without machines, they were not going to run. So on what basis these machines are going to be designed? On what is the what is the requirement behind these machines? So that is the thing what we are going to learn. So here second part is what for this subject is meant for. We know without machines we are not going to run anymore. So we have to know what for they are meant. So there are various forms of various types of machines which are running either in terms of industrial applications or in terms of domestic purpose or in terms of scientific purpose. So the next thing what you are going to learn is what for these machines has been designed and how these DC machines or transformers are applicable to the environment. So all the things what I am mentioning here was to emphasize about the practical orientation of the subject that what we are using. So I can assure you that this DCMT is a practical oriented subject where you are going to learn about many practical designs regarding the motors, what we see in the home, and the machines which we are going to see in industries, or next part of the coming things, coming subjects which are interrelated with this DCMT. So these are the basic purposed subject which we need for electrical engineering. So this is the only first part that what you are going to learn in your electrical engineering, which deals with machines. So it is, and when DCMT to be used. So while coming to the real practical orientation, we may feel that all the things what we are learning are basic oriented, but I can 100% I can assure you that this is a subject where you can see live as transformers we see on the roads and near the apartments or any place, and the live machines, motors, what we are going to see at the homes. So this is a real oriented subject, but you have to know which machine has to be selected for which purpose. So first thing, what this subject deals with was, first it makes sure you that how a machine is going to be worked and how it has to be designed and how the efficiency of the machines is going to be and what are the applications it is going to gain. So this is the main 4 points that what we learn in this subject. So first thing is what for this, why for, and how we are going to use it, where we are going to implement it. So, so we have various forms of types of machines which differs in terms of its nature or in terms of performance or in terms of design or in terms of principle. So there are n number of different types of machines. So we have various designs, right? So in that perception, we are going to frame the syllabus to a basic part, which is nothing but the basic terms that what you are going to see is DC generators, motors, single phase transformers, and three phase transformers. The only thing that what you have to remember here is your first unit. So your first unit is a completely very introductive part, which is highly required for any sort of electrical subject you are going to learn further. So your first unit is not only used for DCMT, it is also used for every subject related to your power systems, power electronics, or any sort of subjects what you are going to learn regarding electrical engineering. It is most suitably used. So you have to remember the basic principles, so on which the machine has been designed, on which properties the electrical energy is going to differ. So everything you are going to learn in your first unit was at most important for your further studies. So completely your DCMT comprises of 5 units. So first unit deals with the principles. Second unit is about your generators. Third unit is about your motors. And fourth unit is of your single phase transformers. And fifth unit is of three phase transformers. So here you can observe that the first unit is regarding principles, but whereas coming to your second and third, particularly they have mentioned with a term called DC. And coming to your 4 and 5, you have not seen any discrimination of DC or AC. You have directly named it as transformers. So the only one thing you have to observe here is even electrical energy has different forms. So different forms of existence. So that existence has been defined as DC and AC, which you'll detailedly learn in your electrical circuits. But I'll give a brief note about here. So DC is nothing but a direct current, whereas alternating current, AC is nothing but alternating current. It is a these two terms are designed based on its property of the current. So if the current is constant, then it will be named as DC. If the current is a fluctuated one, then it is going to be named as alternating. So basic quality of the current where the property has been changed. Because of that nature, we have seen two forms of energy currents. So based on the two different types, the scenario of the making of machine has been changed. So that's why we are going to see here two types of machines which are running with based on direct current, and there are certain machines which are running with AC, alternating current. So this gives an overview of our subject. So here you are going to learn the basic machines which are related to DC and AC. So under DC we are going to learn about motors and generators, whereas coming to under AC we are going to learn about transformers. So this is a very simple precise information regarding your syllabus. So we comprise of 5 units. In that, your first unit is a very important unit which comprises of magnetic material properties and its application. And part B. Here, why I have mentioned as two parts means, so your first part is the thing what you have learned earlier up to your 10th. So you can feel that when I'm saying the subject, you can easily identify that these all the things or you have learned earlier. But whereas coming to the part B, even in this you have learned certain things under electromagnetism, that what you have learned earlier up to your inter. So here we'll add some things to emphasize this concept to our engineering concepts. So one thing I have to make you clear. So whatever the things you have learned up to your 11, that means intermediate. So it is a basic parts which are required for our engineering skills, especially for electrical engineering. So here, let me give a brief note about our unit. So I have given two parts here. So the syllabus has been framed for two parts. One is part 1, which is purely regarding your basics, which sort of materials has to be chosen for a design of a machine. So we know if you want to make a design, the basic things what we require is which type of material we have to select to make a model. So in that perception, the first concept has been taken as material to be selected for a design of a machine. And second part is nothing but principles of electromechanical energy conversion, which is utmost important for the running of a machine. So first part is meant to selection of material, whereas second part is meant to running of a machine. So we have two parts here. One is selection of material and second one is running of a machine. So these two things are going to be combined to give a new design to our machine. So under this perception, we have first part. Let me discuss about magnetic material properties and applications. So part B is of principles. So coming to your first part, let me highlight the things. So coming to your magnetic properties, so here first we have to know which sort of materials has to be selected. So which sort of materials, when they are going to be named as, so you have to know which sort of magnetic materials has to be chosen and which type of material is much suited for a design. So we have various types of materials on the earth, as we have iron, silver, aluminium. We have many materials in the picture, but here if you want to design an electrical oriented machine, the first thing what you have to know is it must contain a property of magnetism. So magnetism. So magnetism is a different phenomena which makes which without any physical interaction. Generally, if I want to define a term force, we'll make sure that if the object is said to be in a movement, then there exists some force. But in terms of magnetic materials, we feel that the magnetic force is existing without any physical contact. If the term force is existed in physical, so then you have to there is a contact between the materials. But whereas into magnetism, we don't feel, there is no physical contact between the materials, even though we can see force. So that is a special criteria why we learn much things about this magnetic materials. So let me go into a detail. So magnetic properties. So here in this lecture, you are going to see about the magnetic properties of the materials. So where this magnetic property materials, I'll go in a detail, just give me a glance idea. Let me give a glance idea of this. Dia, para and ferromagnetic materials, which are nothing but these materials are different types of magnetic natured materials. So how these magnetic natured materials are going to behave and what are the losses it is going to be provide. So based on this concept only we can design a better mechanical design, and we can choose a proper material. So if you want to choose a magnetic material, so we have a versatile structure properties. So let me give a single word regarding this. So you have learnt in your physics structure of atom. So in that structure of atom, we have learned that every matter consists of molecules, whereas molecule comprises of atom and every atom comprises of subatomic particles. So why I am discussing this means, so we need the behavior of that particular atom here. So by knowing the behavior of atom, we can justify the material type. So the property of a material is depending on the function of that particular atom or electron existing in that matter. So we have certain types of J.J. Thomson's method. I think you remember all those things. So here the first thing what you have to remember is the structure of atom, where you have to go through how the behavior of the atom and electron is going to differ, subatomic particles of electrons. So here the basic thing that you have to remember here. So here I am going to discuss about the energy engineering materials which are meant for magnetic nature. So here we can generally classify those physical properties of materials into three parts. So one is we can say that electrical property, thermal property, and magnetic property and optical properties. So based on the physical properties of the materials, we are going to define those things. Here for machines in generally we use only magnetic oriented elements. So the materials which are used for machine designing is magnetic property oriented. So let me give a brief idea why we are choosing magnetic properties. So magnetism is a phenomena by which a material exerts either attractive or repulsive force. Let me give a brief note. So we know that magnetic force is one of the oldest physical phenomena that human knows. So you know one thing, the story of magnetism and magnetic materials has begun in the early of Christ. So it is not the term which has been introduced now. It is the term which even centuries before Christ also it has been existed. So the first and foremost materials on the earth what we have identified was magnetite and hematite. So these are the first magnetic materials which are known to a man. So these two materials has been identified first by the ancients. So this created a history of magnetism. So this is a basic story behind magnetism. Why this magnetism concept has been introduced. This phenomena is nothing but it is a special phenomena which exerts either attractive or repulsive force. So you know that you have learned magnets are there. For every magnet we have two poles, north and south. For north pole and south pole, if the poles are in similar way, they repel each other, and if the poles are unlike, then they attract each other. So this is the only thing. Without any physical contact to the magnets, if you have selected two magnets, if you bring them to closer, So you can feel that these two magnets are going to oppose or attract each other. So this specific behavior made to learn about this magnetism. So this magnetic force is nothing but which is helped for our electrical energy for the movement of the particles. So basic source of magnetic force is movement of electrically discharged particles. That's what I have mentioned earlier, both postulates. So in that you have learned electrons. In atoms we have subatomic particles like protons, electrons and neutrons, where protons are stable in nature, which doesn't have any movement, whereas electrons are negatively charged particles which have a movement. So this movement of electron is the main reason behind this magnetic force. So here, if the electrons, with the movement of that electrons, this magnetic force can be seen in both forms, that is either in terms of attractive or in repulsive forces. So thus the magnetic behavior of any material can be traced with the structure of atoms. So this is the thing what I have mentioned. So atom, how the structure of atom is existing. So atom is comprises of subatomic particles. So that behavior of that particular elements is going to define the behavior of material that what we have chosen. So electrons in atoms have a planetary motion in that they go around the nucleus. So how these electrons are going to be moved means the movement of the atoms will be in a planetary motion. So this behavior, the movement of that electrons defines the magnetic behavior of the materials. So material response, how it is going to be means the structure of atom is going to define the capability of the material, whether it is a strong material or weak material. So the magnetic strength of the material is highly depending on atomic structure, how it is going to be framed. So one thing I have to give a note. So material comprises of electrons. So how these electron structure, how this atom structure is going to be exist, it is going to be defined the strength of the material. So the overall concept behind the magnetism was it is a peculiar behavior of attraction and repulsion where the force is depends on the charged particles. Charged particles are nothing but electrons which are existing in atom. So the structure of atom, if the motion of the electron has been changed, then the structure of atom is going to be differ. So if the structure of the atom is going to be differed, the property of the material is going to be changed. So this is the only thing that what you have to remember. So the magnetic nature or any sort of material strength is going to be depending on atomic structure. So based on this atomic structure only, the strength of the material or the weakness of the material is going to be identified. So based on this Bohr's magnetic theory, magneton theory, so here earlier I have mentioned it has a planetary motion, right? So that planetary motion is here considered as a spin of an electron. Spin is nothing but a revolution. So how the spin of the electron is defined means, so depends on Bohr magneton. So this is a basic physical parameter which is going to define our structure of the atom. Why we are learning about this means because of that structure of the atom, we are going to learn about the magnetic strength of the material. So this is the basic thing that what you have to remember. So magneton, Bohr magneton is a basic parameter which is required to know about the magnetic moment of the atom. So where Q represents charge of the electron, H represents Planck constant, Me represents mass of the electron. So this is a fundamental magnetic moment what we require to define the property of a magnetic material. So why all the magnets are not magnets? So up to now we know that if you want to define the property of the material or how it is going to be, how it is existing. So the property of the material is defined using atom structure, right? So that atom structure. So we can say that if the spinning of the electrons, so in atom we know that there are electrons. So because of that movement of electrons, we can see the property differ. So that difference is going to be carried here by using spinning of electrons. So every material consists of spinning of electrons, but each of them could be a magnet. So in which element we have a spinning nature of the electron. Generally we know that electrons move in a sideward direction, rightward direction or upward direction. But in the materials in which the electron direction is said to be in a spinning mode. So that's the only difference you have to remember. In general, you have learned that electrons will move in any direction in the material. But if the direction is sidewards or rightwards, it won't be never mentioned as a magnet. If the electron movement is said to be in a spin, so then only that particular material is going to bag a characteristic of magnet. So this is engraved with two reasons. One is Pauli's exclusion rule. So Pauli exclusion rule says that if two electrons with same energy level must have opposite spins. So if the two electrons are lying side by side, if those two are having a spins, if they are running with opposite spins, then their magnetic moment will be cancelled. So if the spin of the electrons, if the spin of the electrons are said to be in opposite direction, then their magnetic moments will be cancelled. That means nothing but zero. Resultant will be a zero. Whereas coming to orbital moments of electrons also cancel out each other. Thus no magnetic moments if there is no unpaired electrons. So based on the movement of electrons, how the direction of the spinning. So whether it is with the two electrons are in same direction or if the two electrons are in opposite directions, the direction of the spinning of the electron is very much important to define the magnetic nature, how much strength it is going. Earlier I have mentioned that electrons will move, electrons have a movement. Next, second point what you have to remember is how the electron is moving. If the electron is moving in a straight way or sideways, then it won't have a property of magnet. So only when the electron has a spinning moment, then only it will be said to as a magnetic in nature. So here the second rule is also the same, which has if even the orbital moments, spinning moments are nothing but orbital moments. They cancel each other and the magnetic moment will be zero. If the electron moment is in spin and if the two electrons of with same energy levels spins in opposite direction, then you won't see any magnetic moment where you will see the values as zero. So such transition elements are there. They will be named as transition elements, lanthanoids and actinides, which has magnetic moment as zero. So here no unpaired electrons will be seen. So this is one more concept that what you have to learn about magnetic properties, that is nothing but magnetic dipoles. So this dipoles exist is found. This is one more characteristics. Earlier we have learned about spinning of the electron and now you are going to see the property of dipoles. So dipoles, a magnetic dipole is a small magnet which composes of two directions, north and south. So instead of, in electrical language, we will see two terminals with positive or negative. But here in magnetic behavior, we will discuss the complete concept in terms of north and south poles. So here the energy exertion or magnetic force, all the things are explained in terms of north and south poles. So this concept is called dipole method. Dipole means two poles. So here the discussion will be seen in between north and south poles instead of positive and negative energies. So here within magnetic field, the magnetic force exerts a torque. So we earlier I have said no, it has the nature of spinning. So this spinning is defined in terms of torque. So there is a difference between a force and torque. So let me give a brief idea about it. If it is said to be a force, the body is said to be simply moved, either in terms of upward, downward, sideward or straight. But if the word of force is named as torque, Defaultly, the force is a twisting force, the force which makes the object to rotate. So when we apply some force, if the object is said to be in a movement of turning, revolution or rotation, then that type of force is called as twisting force, which is named as torque. So here we are discussing about spinning moment, right? So spinning is nothing but rotation. So that rotation is named as here torque. So here this magnetic force is conveniently we have to imagine that there is a distributed field and which has imaginary lines. So these lines also indicate the direction of the force. So here basic terminology that what you have to remember regarding magnetic field is how the current is passed. So here H represents magnetic field strength. If we have selected a material of magnetic nature, so every magnetic material must consist of different field strength. So that field strength is identified like this Ni by L. So N represents number of turns, I represents current through the coil, and L represents length of that coil. So next term that what you have to remember is induction, which is nothing but flux density. So whatever the terms I am discussing here are the basic terms that what you have to know about magnetic field. So magnetic materials has magnetic field strength, which is represented with H, and B, it represents magnetic flux density, which is seen as nu H, whereas relative magnetic permeability is nothing but permeability concept. So how much acceptance that material has if the one material has been induced on another. So when you are in your high schools, everyone will do this. So if you have a magnetic material with you, you will just rub the iron materials with it. So if you are initially that iron material doesn't contain any magnetic property, so when once it has been get contacted through that magnetic material, it obviously gets certain energy. So that acceptance level is going to be defined as permeability. So magnetic permeability is defined as mu r. I mean relative permeability is defined as mu r is equal to mu by mu naught. So susceptance is represented with the psi. So we have various terms like this which magnetization characteristics and magnetic susceptibility. So these are the basic things that what you have to learn regarding properties of magnetic field. So coming to magnetism, so a material is magnetically characterized based on it how it is magnetized. So if you want to define the characteristic of that material, so earlier I have mentioned, right? So you have single magnet and you have rubbed the iron 1 rupee coin or iron material, you have rubbed with the magnet. So that rubbing material property now it has been changed. So that property of changing, how the property of changing is depending on the structure of the material. So that is nothing but structure of the atom which is present inside the material. Just check once, if you have a magnet, you just rub on the wood. So you never feel that that wood is going to behave like a magnet. But if you if you are going to rub that magnet with an iron material, defaultly that iron material accepts the property of magnetic material. And one more thing you can observe was when you are rubbing an iron material, it won't exist for a long time. It may be for seconds or minutes. So why? Because the property has been changing. The material property is changing with the time. Maybe it depends on the temperature. So that's what the thing you have to remember here. So that's the main thing that makes the difference between magnetic materials. So here we have three types of magnetic materials. One is diamagnetic material, paramagnetic material, and ferromagnetic material. So diamagnetic materials are very weak in nature, which never accepts, which very in which has a weaker property to accepting the magnetic property. So there are certain materials which accepts or which allows the property of magnetic nature into them. So in that which if the material is very weak in accepting external magnetic field, then it will be named as diamagnetic. If the material is slightly stronger than dia, slightly weaker than ferro, then it is named as paramagnetic material. If it is ferromagnetic material, it is very strong. So where the dipoles are lined up permanently and they are permanent magnets. So the first thing you have to remember is diamagnetic materials are very weak in nature. So which may or may not accept the properties of magnetic properties. Whereas coming to paramagnetic materials, they are slightly stronger when compared to diamagnetic, but not with ferromagnetic. Okay, so here these paramagnetic materials are like just now I have given an example, right? In that we have rubbed some iron material with magnet. So that iron material has existed, has allowed its property to be exist in magnetic nature for certain time. So that type of materials will come under paramagnetism. But ferromagnetic materials are defaultly they are magnets. So they will be seen as permanently magnet. I mean they are named as permanent magnets. So we have three types of magnetic materials: ferro, I mean dia, para and ferro. Ferro are very strong in nature. So even in that we have two types. One is dipoles line up but in opposite direction, then it is going to be named. See here, even though the ferromagnetic materials are very strong, here you have two classes. If the dipoles are lined up, in both the conditions we have dipoles line up. But here, if the dipoles are running in opposite directions, earlier I have mentioned right here, if the dipoles are rotating in and 1 minute. If the dipoles are running, if the spin of the moment is 0, then there is no magnetic force, right? So such type of, even though it is a strong magnetic material, if the spinning direction of the electron is not possible, then it is, the spinning direction is possible, but if it is in the opposite directions, then that material is named as antiferromagnetic materials. Whereas coming to ferromagnetism, they have, which is completely opposite to antiferromagnetic. So here the dipoles rotate in same direction. So where the strength is not going to be cancelled and it comprises of some force. So these is the basic things that what you have to know about the materials. So here you can see the examples which behaves like dia. Now earlier we have learnt about types, no? So in that we are going to use certain examples which has a terms which we are going to represent with its signs and its susceptibility. Susceptibility is nothing but acceptance rate. So how the acceptance of magnetic behavior is done through the materials. So here these comes under the examples. So coming under dia is always represented with negative, where it is the field is very weak and the magnitude is very small and the value cannot be changed, right? So it is seen as a constant. So the examples like organic materials, superconducting materials, etc. Whereas coming to para, we will see the symbol as plus and the magnitude will be small and the value will be constant. Here you can see alkali and all the transition elements and elements comes under paramagnetic. Whereas coming to ferro, so the symbol is seen as plus, the magnitude is large and the function of H is same. So here the transition materials examples are like this and rare earth materials. So these are the combinations that which we can see. So antiferro comes under the ferromagnetic materials, but it cancels the magnetomotive force, so it will magnetic moment. So that's why the value will be 0. So that's why the value is seen as small, and it is an example for salts of transition elements. And Ferri is a large value, so where we can see that materials named as ferrites. So this earlier I have mentioned, right, magnetite. So all these terms comes under these type of minerals only. So coming to the materials behavior. So always the materials behavior maybe somehow or other it depends on the temperature. So with the rise of the temperature, the magnitude of the atom may differ. Sometimes it may increase or it may completely the value will be differed if the material what we have selected which is heated which is sent which is kept under the thermal vibration or which is kept under the temperature, they may differ the value of its magnitude. So this may leads to atomic thermal vibrations. So this thermal vibrations counteract forces between the adjacent atomic dipoles, which results in misalignment. So if the magnetic materials are kept under certain temperature differences, defaultly the electrons lying in the magnetic material is going to change its alignment. The spinning may be differ, so when compared with each other. So this may lead to the property change of the magnetic material. So here you have to calculate that consequence has to be measured with the help of Curie temperature Tc. So here if it is an element, they have given certain examples here. If it is an element of cobalt, the Curie temperature is like this. See here. So with the various selection of ferrites, Fe3O4 means a ferrite. So you see here for a ferrite, the change in temperature leads to the change in temperature with a value of 585 degrees Celsius. But whereas if it is of iron, the value is going to be seen as 568 degrees centigrade. So this example itself shows that every material has different properties under temperature effect. So if the temperature, if the material what we have selected is working under a temperature, it is going to change its property. So so we have to remember that temperature effect of a magnetic material is to be considered. If you are going to choose a magnetic material for a design, so then defaultly you have to know the temperature effect also. First thing you have to know about property. Second thing you have to know about the effect of temperature on that material. So we have different types of magnetisms based on its susceptibility. That means its acceptance of the things, the material's behavior is going to be changed. So that things are we are going to calculate here with ferromagnetic material or the how the difference of electrons position is seen in the atom. So we are going to define that property. See here. Here if you take a magnetic field, so here you can see that the level of value is going to be increased up to certain level. So the place where you are going to see this red mark is named as saturation. So this is the property that what MH curve will name it as magnetization property of the material, and the magnetic field of that particular material is selected here. So based on the magnetic field, if the magnetic strength is increased linearly up to certain stage, after the magnetic maximum extent, so the value has been decreased. I mean it has been saturated. So this point where you can see the slope is very less, here the value is lowest permeability. So whereas in between the linearity of the value is very high, so here you can see that highest permeability of the magnetization property. But whereas under the initial conditions you will see initial permeability. So the permeability of that magnetic material is going to be varied. So even though if the magnetic field is strong, the magnetization is going to be increased. So this condition is will be exhausted at the point of saturation. So here at the point of saturation, the permeability level will be very less. So first point you have to remember, at initial conditions it will be slightly increasing, whereas at the second condition it is highly increasing, whereas coming to at the saturation point there will be no increase. So it will be seen as a saturated value. So initial conditions less increase, slightly increased permeability range, whereas in second part, so I am defining this as second part, this is first part, and this is as third part. So initial conditions, initial permeability, whereas coming to your second part, this highest permeability is seen at the linear part of your curve, whereas in the saturation point the lowest permeability is seen. So this is how the property, magnetization characteristics. So this curve is named as magnetization characteristics of a magnetic material. So here we have one more concept called magnetic hysteresis. This we will see in next class. So this is very important, that where you are going to learn about magnetic nature of the materials. So that property, behavior and performance of that magnetic material is judged by using hysteresis curves. So hysteresis curves will be seen like this. So this is called as hysteresis curve. Here we will make an experiment here. So to check the performance of the magnetic material we have chosen. So that we will see in next class. So we will see in next class by continuing the properties. We almost learn the properties of the magnetic materials and how the magnetic material is going to behave and various types of magnetic materials. After knowing the hysteresis losses, you are going to define how this magnetic propertied element can be used for our designing conditions. So that we will see in next class. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.